I had a letter published in The Guardian a couple of weeks ago. It was at the height of the debate on inequality when that Thomas Piketty book came out about inequality and about how capital and income imbalances were growing and growing in the Western countries. It doesn't matter what my letter said, but it was a tremendously psychological letter, and it got published. I think people, in spite of a widespread contempt for the narcissism and dependency of the therapy culture, which I have actually as a therapist, I still have some sympathy with that critique, by the way. But I think there's also a space now, a moment, where a psychological observation can get into The Guardian, which is still a somewhat materialistically oriented organ. So I think it's alive at the moment. The whole question of using therapy thinkings in a political context.
Yes, yeah. Like we're at a very special time in human history, as some very what has felt like stable structures are crumbling, and there's lots of questions about where next. And of course, I'm used to sitting in groups and responding and being responded to in terms of humanistic experience. I have no idea how that can kind of impact the wider world. And I think about my clients, I think about how I am when I'm at the supermarket, I guess. But like, I think there is a desire to contribute to that change and that shift.
Yes, it's absolutely vital that therapists don't try and go it alone.
Yes.
I mean, it's one thing to get a therapist onto a political committee, but a committee of therapists designed to cure the political ills of the society, forget about it. What a nightmare.
It sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. So, let's not exaggerate. Let's be skeptical and restrained in what we claim. Let's not try to become foundational, because the political world, I think, will welcome a psychological angle, but they won't welcome a psychological takeover.
Yes. So it's a contribution.
Yes. And part of a movement. Part of a wide movement. Occupies in it, eco-psychology is in it, liberation theology is in it, people who are really worrying away at all aspects of inequality, people who are working that funny space between spirituality and religion. They don't all agree, and some of them, by the way, are not at all left-wing and progressive. Even if they might have a certain spiritual outlook, they might be quite right-wing, conservative, traditional. Nevertheless, there is a huge range of organizations, activities, and interests. I would add, by the way, animal welfare, very, very important. That's been around for a long time. And before eco-psychology and before environmentalism, there was this thing called nature conservancy. That too was part of a movement. I did name it once. I called it a resacralizing of culture. A bit pompous, but it was intended to make it clear to the therapists, of whom I'm one, that we are not special.
Yeah.
We're interesting.
Yes.
But we're not special.